Hello there. Hi. I'm sure you know what this is. Today we're going to be talking about ACOWAR, or A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I'm going to start out this review by saying, yes, I know it's problematic. Yes, I know there were a lot of problems that came out before the book was even released. I still read it. I still enjoyed it. But I will be coming at this review from, like I said, a critical mindset more than just a, oh my god, I love Sarah and Reese mindset. So just be aware, be kind, be courteous in the comments. If you don't know what this book is and you're like, what are you talking about? Or you didn't hear about any of the problematic stuff, I will fill you in. So this is the third book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. Sarah J. Maas is a hot topic right now. We've been talking a lot about diversity in the book community for the past year or two or more, probably more, and Sarah J. Maas's books have kind of been not diverse. For the most part, up until now, a lot of her books have been extremely white, extremely heteronormative, which is not to say that they're not still like that. However, I do think in this book she tried to diversify it. I will leave it up to you if you think she was successful. Like I said, A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is a trilogy, however, it's not a trilogy. It kind of makes no sense. This is like the third book following Rhys and Feyre, but next year we're gonna get more books in this world with these characters, and we don't know who it's going to center on. This is like set in a fae world with fairies and magic and all kinds of really great things. Personally, I like this series way more than Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, so if you haven't read any of her books, I guess I would recommend this series, but also don't know if I would recommend any of them for reasons. It's hard. I'm struggling. If you want to know my opinion on this book, I really enjoyed it. I don't think I will ever love a Sarah J. Maas book quite as much as I love ACOWAR, just because that book is, it holds a special place in my heart. But I was happily surprised. Going into it, I forced myself to lower my expectations because of all the controversy, and I felt terrible when I was starting it. I was like, this is not fun. And so it was a weird read for me. I really enjoyed it, and I love the characters. Like, these are some of my favorite characters of all time, and I was pleased for the most part with the ending and like the closure and the whole book itself. I read it very quickly. It wasn't a hard book to get into. Like, it was good. Really liked it. However, because of the problematic stuff and because of a little bit of the ending, I'm only giving it 4 stars on Goodreads. So I am going to talk about the problematic stuff right now. I will try not to include spoilers in case you want to hear more about that. And then after that, if I'm still talking, then I'll go into spoilers. But I really, really, really want to touch on the problems of this book because I do think it's important, and it was a huge topic of conversation when it came out last week. The first thing I want to bring up is the one that kind of relates the most heavily to me. Last week before the book dropped, there was a chapter sampler thing that was leaked online, and in chapter 3, there was a heavily acephobic, or aphobic, I don't know the correct one, section, if you will. Basically, it talks about these two twins, a guy and a girl, and Feyre basically implies that because they don't have physical passion, they are soulless. And upon reading it, I still believe that that's what it says. I can also see arguments for saying that that's not what it says though, so it's a very fine line to cross. So that was the main thing that sparked controversy. Along with that, there was mention of Moore's sexuality and how apparently, I'm gonna explain, but apparently everyone was saying that she was written as a lesbian, but based on like a couple pages or sentences, she was like trying to force herself to not be a lesbian by like sleeping with guys. So that was a huge controversy. Other than that, before the book came out, there wasn't really anything else talked about. And upon reading the book, there was like maybe 1 or 2 things that kind of stuck out as problems. But other than that, I think I felt fine about a lot of what she did. There were a couple things that I was like, I don't know if that's good, I don't know, but there wasn't like anything glaringly bad as opposed to those things we first heard about. And I'm gonna go ahead and talk about those. I'll start with the acephobia because I'm ace, if you didn't know. Ironically, one of my favorite series of all time has too much sex and is acephobic, so I'm having an existential crisis, don't worry about it. The thing that really bothered me, I mean, I can talk about my problems with the sex in this series, like, it's fine, you can have sex, whatever, that's not my problem, but as someone who is asexual and who is sex repulsed specifically, I struggle with these books every single time I read them. I really try sometimes to sit through the sex scenes and be like, is this turning somebody on? Like, should I read it? Am I missing anything? And for this one, I literally just was like, no, I'm not even worrying about it. So I just like skipped over all the sex scenes. And it was great, let me tell you. However, I was not surprised at all when this sentence appeared before the release. I was like a little bit sick to my stomach because I am ace, and I was like, wow, my favorite writer just was ace-phobic. This is great. But I like wasn't shocked by it because she's just a heavily sex writer. That's like what she likes to write about, which is fine. If you like sex, great. It's uncomfortable for me personally, and I think it hurts more that she thinks sex is necessary, because that is kind of how I read, especially this one. There was a couple more sentences where I was like, you're on the edge. You could be ace-phobic with these. And I don't think it's because she's like thinking consciously like, oh, I hate people who don't have sex, you know? Like, I don't think she's knowingly trying to be ace-phobic. I would hope not. I think it's just that like nobody taught her about that. You know, like she knows a little bit about some of the other sexualities because it's obvious in this book, but like I don't think anybody explained to Sarah J. Maas about asexuality. It's like, it feels like she's saying that Feyre doesn't feel good about not wanting sex. That was really bad wording, but you know what I mean. So it was just like, I noticed it more in this book than I have in any of her other books, where it felt like the sex was necessary, and it felt like Feyre didn't feel like a true woman or human or fae or whatever she is without having that sex, whether it's with Rhys or anybody else, I guess. But it just felt like very much pushing people away who don't have sex, you know? And so it just, it like frustrated me, especially because I do like Sarah as a person, and I really love her writing, and I really enjoy reading her books. I just like, the next thing I'm going to talk about is that second piece of controversy with Moore. I didn't necessarily read this section before I read the book when the controversy arose. I know everybody got very offended by it, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but okay, all right, Moore is not straight. This is good. We're all right. Let's see what happens. So furthermore, upon reading it, I read it a little bit after Haley from These Book Lines read it. And if you know Haley, she's bi and she loves Sarah J. Maas and she's great. And so I was under the impression, upon seeing her Snap stories and knowing her and reading the book, I like Moore is bi, in my opinion. It just like makes sense. And Haley especially, she was like, I heavily relate to this. I've heard a lot of people say like, I think this was really positive. I don't think this was homophobic, or like, it wasn't like Moore was trying to say, oh, I'll have sex with more men and then I'll like women, or I won't like women, or something like that. I didn't read it like that. I can understand how it could be perceived that way. I personally think I like Moore is bi. Like, I don't think you can contest that. She's definitely bi. And if people like Haley feel valid by it, like I feel fine saying it's positive. I know it's a very fine line. A lot of people get offended by some things and others don't. So like it's hard to say, oh, this wasn't problematic, because clearly it was. Like clearly people were hurt by it. But in my opinion, knowing Haley as bi, like I see Moore as bi. So I don't know. That controversy I feel like was different than the ace-phobic one, because the ace-phobic one feels way more legit for me, maybe because I'm ace, I don't know. The other problematic thing that has been talked about, there is a High Lord named Helion, and he is, I think, of the Day Court, if I remember correctly, and so it is revealed that Helion is bisexual in this book, and he says it, he's like, Helion likes males and females, I think is the correct one. However, like, which is great, that's good, you are explicit, that's what we want, but the thing that people are really stuck on is the stereotype. Helion really likes having threesomes, and he really likes having sex with lots and lots of people, which is a bisexual stereotype that is usually not true. So a lot of people have been offended by that for sure, and I understand that one completely. Like, I can see how that's problematic. It's a double-edged sword, because it's like, wow, we have bisexual representation, but also it's really shitty. So I feel like with this book, what Sarah did, she tried so hard. Like, I do applaud her for trying, I guess. I think she did take like one step forward in that, but at the same time, some of the ways that she did it, it was like 2 steps back. So it's like, I don't think you tried hard enough. The other thing that I noticed that was slightly problematic in this book is she tried very hard to describe skin tones more, which I appreciate, but she still did it in a way that was like, I don't know what you're trying to say. This isn't clear language. Like, I remember she said skin like dark honey. There's like tan, there's dark brown, there's brown. Like literally there were all these different shades of brown, which is like fine. Like I can assume that you're trying to have diverse like people of color in your book, and I could kind of picture them, but also it was very difficult because I couldn't tell if the tan people were actually like dark skinned and they were actually people of color, or if she was just like, yeah, they're tan. Like, be clearer, please. It was really, really hard to tell what was a person of color and what wasn't. I pictured all of them as people of color just because I was like, that's where we're at today. But I don't know her intention. I think that's the hardest part. A lot of this is just not clear. And as somebody like her who is a pretty clear writer, especially when it comes to sex, I just like wish she could work on being more clear about everything, basically. The good news about this book is she did try. So even though it was one step forward and two steps back, the one step forward, I do feel like she's conscious of needing to make changes and needing to create a world that includes all types of people. We did have much more diversity and sexuality in this book. We have one of the High Lords who has a lover who's a man, and so they are really cute together. And I believe that is the couple, I think it's like Thiessen or whatever. I think they're really close to having a mating bond, so that's interesting and cool. I know it was a big question of a lot of people if same-sex couples can have a mating bond, so I believe the answer is yes. I'm not 100% on that though, so that's pretty cool. Obviously we have Moore, who is bisexual, which is like awesome and great, but other than, oh, and I forgot, there's also the FF, I don't even know how to, like, two women couple. I want to say Nefel is how you say it, but those two wonderful ladies are together, which is really cool. It's like she tried, but also the things that, like some of the things she tried, it was like, no, honey, please stop. So the rest of the stuff that I want to talk about is probably going to be spoilery. If you want to talk about the problematic stuff in the comments, please feel free to do so. Be kind. If you have questions for me, let me know, and we'll get into talking about the plot and the spoilers and the feels. Okay. At this point, I'm gonna set aside all the problematic stuff and just like pretend it's not there, even though I know it's there. Just, yeah. I highly enjoyed this book. I always love reading Sarah books. They're really easy reads for me. I love the characters. Her characters are always my favorite, and I love how she writes character interactions, and I don't know, it's great. It's like coming home, honestly. I think it did fall a little bit flat, aside from, you know, I didn't like the ending very much, and I don't know, it didn't have the same feeling for me as ACOWAR, and I don't know if that's because it's like a finale. It's not even a finale, but if, like, why? ACOWAR to me was just like so life-changing, and I loved the character arc. I think in that book for Feyre, she just like became this totally new person. And in this one, it was great to see her and Rhys together and to see like just the Court of Dreams interact. Like I love all of them, and I think it was really great to see them together. However, also I felt like it was just a little underwhelming at times. I guess I wanted more. Maybe it'll change in the next book, and I was picturing this as a finale, and that's not what it is. And mainly I'm just like, I keep thinking about the ending and I'm like, underwhelmed. I think my biggest problem is that it did feel a little convenient, and usually Sarah isn't like that, I want to say. I mean, maybe she is and I'm just forgetting. But I always feel like shocked by her plot twist, and I'm like, what the heck? This is so intricate and well done. And this one, while it was slightly intricate in some aspects, I also kind of felt like a little bit gypped. Like, mainly when her father comes on the ships, I was like, wow, that was completely expected. Because, like, she keeps mentioning her father for, like, the whole series. And he's, like, away on a meeting for months and months, and they're like, yeah, we'll worry about him later, he's fine, he's surviving, whatever. And then he like comes in and they're like, what? He was here? What? And I'm like, guys, like, it's obvious. The thing that did get me was Rhys, obviously, but also when it happened, I was like, she loves Rhys, like, she's not gonna let this happen. This is not a thing that's like gonna happen. I don't know. I was just like slightly freaked out, but also I was like, I was really expecting Cassian to die, or Azriel, so I'm like glad that everybody made it out. I was blindsided when Elaine like got the King of Hybern in the throat. That was really nice, and I really loved how Reese got the Weaver to help them in the end, but also like them getting all the people to work for them. I was like, this is kind of like anticlimactic. I don't know if I was just like in a really cynical mood or like I don't want it to end or what, but like literally that battle at the end, I was like, this is so lame. They're basically outnumbered and they're going to die, and then the cavalry comes in and it's like, just kidding, we saved you. It always bugs me a little bit when nobody dies, because it's like, somebody should die. I mean, like, even Tamlin came out of it alive and fine, and he like helped Feyre get Reese back, and I was just a little bit like, Tamlin is an interesting character because he was basically a tool. He's still a tool forever, but like, he kind of helped, I guess, in the end, and he was a good guy, but like, I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't what I wanted. I don't really know what I wanted. I also feel like the ending was a little bit rushed. Like that battle was a very quick battle. It happened within the last 100 pages. Why so quick, you know? I was kind of hoping it would end on like a cliffhanger and we'd get the next book, but like, it didn't happen that way. I love Cassian and Nesta. I think they had a fabulous story this time around. I do feel like their relationship is a little bit forced, just that Nesta, I would love to hear more about, because she seemed like so against him for so long. And then she's like, oh, just kidding. Like, I'm actually like low-key in love with you, but I'm not going to admit it still. I don't know. I think that's my favorite couple aside from the main couple. I low-key ship Asriel and Elaine. I don't know if that's a thing, but I kind of do. I still don't see Elaine and Lucien as a couple yet. Maybe they will in the next book, I'm not really sure. And there's Amryn, the wonderful Amryn who gets freed, who is not a Vogue, and I'm really mad, but whatever, it's fine. There's a lot of people who are really mad about her relationship with Varian, because a lot of people headcanon her as Arrow Ace, which I think is great, and I totally agree with that. And I think that is one of the couples that I am most frustrated with, because it seems like very passionate and like, I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't ship it. I don't get it. I don't know why it's a thing. I think it really stems from my biggest problem with this series is that almost everybody has paired up at this point. Moore is not paired up because she's kind of looking for a lady friend. Asriel is still pining after Moore, so I don't know if he and Elaine will get together or if he'll just find somebody else or what, if he's meant to be alone. But like, Sarah loves pairing people up, and she so far has mostly done hetero couples. And the thing about this series is that it's very allonormative, and if you don't know what allosexual is, it's like the opposite of asexual. So there's asexual people who experience no sexual attraction, and then allosexual people is like anyone who feels any sexual attraction, no matter like if you're hetero or homo or what, like, yeah. So like literally this whole series, this whole author, every single book is very allonormative, in the sense that it very much revolves around sex and it revolves around romance and couples. And it's really frustrating, honestly. Like, I never really notice this stuff when I'm just like enjoying her books and I'm like, oh, I won't think about it. I'll just like love the characters because I love the characters. But like looking back on it, I'm just like, this is what the world is like for asexual people. It's really unfortunate, actually. Did I like it? Yes. I had a lot of fun reading it. It was so great. I still love the humor. Like, I think Sarah is a great writer, even though she has many flaws. I still enjoyed it. And a lot of the reason why I can enjoy these books is because I'm an easy to please reader. Like, I will look over a lot of your faults and flaws if I like really enjoy your story or really enjoy your characters or your plot or your world or anything. Like, I am very forgiving, but I did notice more for this release than I have for any of her previous releases that I am getting close to letting her go. At this point, I think I'm gonna finish Throne of Glass just because it's Throne of Glass and I've read so much of it already. I don't really care about the Kale book. I don't really care about the Tog finale at this point. Like, I don't care. I am interested to see where this series goes in the future, but like, I love Sarah, but also I'm just like getting really sick and tired of her controversies and everything. I don't know. I've been in a really weird mood with this book for the past week. If you have thoughts about it that you want to share, please do. Again, make it a safe space. Don't be too crazy. I'm gonna go, but thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!